Thank you for coming for this. This is part of the LODS training, the library's activating workforce development skills, and we're doing the job centers resources and updates. So we're so glad to have Julie Unlow, who is covering for the South Central region, which includes Jefferson County. So Julie, I think I'm just going to let you begin. And
Okay.
just as a reminder, this is being recorded, and so you can view it afterwards too. So I will let you begin.
Thank you. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. So just like Lori said, this is a part of the LODS project. So it's Libraries Activating Workforce Development Skills. And basically it's being brought to you by the Department of Public Instruction, DWD, the local Workforce Development Areas Association, as well as WIA. Past approaches to public workforce development programming have used a combination of different agencies, and these are all the different agencies that you would be mostly aware of that provide some kind of employment search activities. A system approach to public workforce development is trying to make sure that we're all working together to serve that same customer. So I know that a lot of the folks that we might be serving at the job center are also coming to you for help. And we just want to make sure that we are connecting a little bit more often and making sure that we're all on the same page as far as resources and things that are available. One thing that we definitely want to talk about is no wrong doors. So whether the person is coming in through WIOA, if they're coming in through a library, just to make sure that, again, we kind of have some common information so that we can help each other to do that cross-referring. WIOA ensures workforce development systems are driven in a number of different ways, whether it's using the Council on Workforce Investment, whether you're using the local workforce development boards. Just so you know, we have 11 workforce development boards. That is the structure that we're operating off of. I know that Bridges, I think, has, is it 3 different workforce development boards that you work with? I have 4 library systems that I work with. So again, it'd be nice if all of our maps kind of lined up together, but they don't. But I'll offer you some information that will be pretty much consistent with what's happening in the other workforce development areas as well. How does WIOA serve customers? Basically through the Job Center of Wisconsin, as well as the American Job Center Network. And so basically it's through those local job centers. For most of the job centers now, they may be closed or by appointment only. Starting March 1st, I just got off the phone with DWD this morning, and there will be some kind of activity in each of the 11 workforce development areas. One of the workforce development centers or job centers will be open, and it will be very limited hours and usually half days. Nothing is going more than 20 hours a week. So again, check with your local job center to see what's happening. In Jefferson, I can tell you that as of next week, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they will be taking up to 2 people at a time by appointment and getting into the Jefferson Workforce Development Center to help people, you know, with their work search activities and that sort of thing. Again, operating as kind of one system, so making sure that we're all working together. If you're wondering, my section is the one-stop operator piece that's right in the middle. And basically, I'm supposed to act as the liaison between our local partners, whether it's a community-based organization, local libraries, our for-profit and nonprofits that we have in the area, as well as the Workforce Development Board and the state of Wisconsin. Core programs that we have in Title 1B is the Dislocated Worker Program, which is the worker that is the program for folks that have been laid off just recently, as well as in-school and out-of-school youth programming. Title II is the Adult Education and Literacy Program. And that one would go through the Literacy Council of Jefferson, as well as through Madison Area Technical College. And this would hold true no matter which technical college you were talking about. They would have the Title II services. Title III services are traditionally what you think of as job service providing at the local job centers in their resource rooms. And then Title IV is the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, or DVR services. Every WDA has at least one comprehensive job center, which has required partners that need to be aligned with them. So most all of the job centers that you will be looking at in your area are going to have the usual job center partners. So they're going to have Title I services, which is the folks for layoff or low income adults, as well as youth. They're also going to have information available as far as job services concerned. Some of them will have just hours from the technical college coming on campus to provide that adult literacy programs. Some of them actually will have adult literacy right embedded into the actual job center, the comprehensive job center itself. And all of them will have DVR services as well as job service. What can job seekers expect from WIOA? Everything from like building your resume to helping people get connected to those employers that are actually hiring in the local area. Certainly working with job fairs, labor market information. And if somebody is thinking about making a change, especially if they're a dislocated worker, we have tools that we can help those individuals kind of look at those transferable skills from what they were doing before, and how can we put that to use in looking at your new career goals that you have. Employers will also benefit from WIOA in that we have a pool of job seekers that are ready to be working. We also work with our veterans population as well. There are tax credits that are available to certain populations. And so when a business partner is actually starting to work with us, we go through all of this information with them to try and help them navigate and understand the kinds of things that we can do to help them to fill their openings. What services are available for all job seekers at the local workforce development system? Again, we kind of covered a lot of this. So it's basic assessments, employment search, placement assistance, labor market information. A lot of those same pieces come up again. The Job Center Wisconsin's menu bar for job seeker tools holds everything from resumes to job search. They have hot jobs that they look at, as well as opportunities, and assistance for things like ex-offenders, veterans, and folks with disabilities. What services are available for employers through the local workforce development system? Well, there are a number of different tools. Again, it's everything from human resources, search for candidates, post jobs, look for other business resources, such as those tax credits, that sort of thing, information about unemployment and labor law clinics. Those are the typical things that our business services are receiving from us at the job centers. Title I-B programs, so the adult dislocated worker and youth programs. One of the things that we're going to go through in a couple of minutes when we go through the resource guide is information about branding. So again, we talked about the low-income adults or underemployed adults, dislocated workers who have been laid off, both in-school and out-of-school youth programs. So everything from youth apprenticeship programs would also, or work-based learning would also fall under this section. But one of the things that we're going to be looking at is branding. So in WDA 10, which Jefferson falls into, our branding for the WIOA program as a whole is WorkSmart. And that throws people off in the rest of the state. So I just want you to know that it's the WIOA Title I services that you typically would be asking about in your local area. Participant training decisions. If someone is a participant who's been laid off just recently, and maybe they have an older, maybe their education was kind of a while ago and they need to kind of upgrade their services and their skills, some of the things that we can offer to them are some of the training opportunities. So whether that's going through a local technical college, if there is another service provider that can give them some training, that might be what's appropriate for that individual. I know when I was laid off years ago, the first thing that I wanted to do is find my next job. So some of our participants are really eager just to land that next job and just keep moving. So again, everybody that we work with has different kind of goals in mind for themselves, and that's what our program is supposed to be doing. Having that one-on-one conversation with individuals to say, what is it that you're interested in doing, and how can we help you to get there? So again, lots of different things that we can offer to individuals. The Title I-B program participants who need to seek job development may receive training. And again, we always say may receive training because it isn't a guarantee. This isn't an entitlement program. People have qualifications that they need to meet, eligibility qualifications. And so one of the things that might be, an opportunity would, like I say, be work-based learning. Occupational skills trainings, whether that's through a technical college or another training provider, as well as apprenticeships. There is a priority of service for veterans and eligible spouses in WIOA programming. So if you know of veterans that are kind of struggling to get back into the world of work again, maybe they were just transitioning from the military service, that's something that we can certainly do. We also have on staff our veteran service folks that are there to work with veterans that maybe have a disability and helping them find employment. We can also get people connected to other kinds of veteran services. So sometimes people are interested in using their GI Bill. If that's the case, it isn't normally the folks that are at the job center, but those folks can get them connected to the folks at the county that will actually help them to get connected and start using that. Same thing for things like veterans loan programs if they're thinking about buying a home. Those things are also available through the county representative, but our job center staff can always help people get connected. If people are thinking about business ownership or opening their own business. I know that years ago when I started my business up in Door County, which ran for 17 years, I used the Small Business Administration. So we offer that to individuals. We also have SCORE, which is listed right here. That one was the one that was most of service to me. They have people that have been in that kind of field before that talk to you about how to open your business and what are some things to watch out for. So I had I had a retail store, and I actually had Mr. Yost from downtown in Madison. Yost was a big downtown department store, and he was the person who brought his lawyer, and they sat down and talked to me about how to market, where to buy bags, all the nuts and bolts of how to open your own business. So SCORE is something that I would certainly think that you should offer to individuals. How do the systems work together to serve common customers? I think it's really through the referral process. You sending folks our way, us being able to send folks back over to your way, and knowing what are those things that each group is able to provide. Some of it is going to be overlap, but then there are other pieces, like some of our program areas, where we really need to kind of refer back over to each other to help that person get connected to those services. So again, thank you on behalf of all these different agencies that are here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take you over to our resource guide. And this is something that I'm going to walk you through so that you can see what it looks like. The Jefferson Workforce Development Center of Jefferson County also serves individuals in Jefferson and in Dodge County. This resource guide was primarily put together to act as a way to cross-train our internal staff. So folks that are inside the building, most of the time it's kind of like anything in this life. You might know that person, you might like that person, but you have no idea what they really do for their job. So again, this cross-training is here to kind of help you understand like what kind of services are available at the Jefferson Workforce Development Center, and gives you some key contacts as well as information and names of who you contact, how you get a hold of them. Are there different websites that you should go to and what those are? So a lot of the information that you will see in the guide itself, sorry if I'm making you dizzy here, is information that is either something that we use very often in order to help our customers that we're working with, or it's something that actually was housed in the Workforce Development Center or at the Comprehensive Center. So 211 is United Way's first call for help. A lot of times, if you don't know who to ask about a certain kind of resource, either you can have the individual just dial 211 and someone will answer their call, ask them for their zip code, and then provide them with information about services that are available. They can also now text. The texting is a new option, and I really love that because for our younger folks, they like to text all the time. This is the way to go. But one thing that I would encourage you to do if you haven't done this already is go out to 211wisconsin.org and actually look at their website. It's very easy to use and it gives you a lot of information about all sorts of services that are available to individuals. So again, I would just encourage when you have a couple extra minutes, just head on out to the website and kind of check things out. One of the most incredible things that I ever saw happen with 211 was during the Great Recession. I had a gentleman who went to work one day and the actual doors of the place were closed and locked and nobody was on site. The company literally overnight shut its doors and then all of its employees just found out the next day when they came to go to work and the doors were locked and closed. The gentleman that I was meeting with, if that wasn't frustrating enough, had just had all of his teeth pulled because he was getting dentures. And when I met with him, he said, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, do I have dental insurance anymore? Who's going to help me pay for these things? I don't know how this is all going to work. And so I didn't know how it was going to work either. So we called 211 and I just talked to the gentleman that's our local contact. And I said, John, is there any way that maybe a church might be able to help or someplace that makes dentures might be able to help him out? And so we made some initial calls. They gave him some information. And the next time I saw him, he had his dentures. So again, there's like incredible things that they can do because they're working together with all of the different nonprofits to provide information and services to individuals. So again, if you don't know who to ask about something and you need to help this person, send them to 211 and United Way will help them. The other thing that you should know is 211 is available nationwide. So if you're on vacation like I was and you just want to dial 211 to see what happens, you're going to get a United Way volunteer who's going to help you with whatever it is that you're looking for. So again, something that you should definitely use. 711 is Wisconsin Relay. And this is something that if you're calling an individual or a patron and you maybe already have utilized this, you might call that patron to say, hey, your book that you're interested in is here. And that person might be deaf or hard of hearing. Wisconsin Relay will actually type out the information and leave it for that person so that they can give the information, either respond to it right away, or if they're out of the house, it's going to leave a message on their machine so that they can check it later. So again, Wisconsin Relay kind of works like the language line in that you talk to the person just like you normally would, and you can leave a message for them. The other thing to note is if you're not familiar with 711 and you want more information, if you go out to YouTube, they have great videos on how to use 711, how to use the language line, things like that. So if you've never done it before, you're kind of curious, again, go out to YouTube and click on 711. What did we do before we had YouTube and the internet, right? 4Cs is a referral desk, and it helps individuals that are looking for childcare assistance. Maybe, I shouldn't say assistance, they're looking for childcare. So let's say we've got two individuals. The first individual is actually receiving Wisconsin Shares, which is the child care subsidy. If that individual is looking for someone to watch their young one while they participate in W-2 activities or something like that, you can go on their website or you can call. And again, it's going to be by zip code. They're going to give you information as to where the local child care centers are and let you know if they're accepting individuals. The other thing that I always say is that you can check out and see Are they closer to home? Because maybe you work late some nights and you want to be able to pick that child up the latest possible. So you need the child care center closer to where you work versus closer to home. They can help you walk through all of that information. The other thing that 4Cs does that's kind of nice is provisional certification. The place where I've used this most often is usually with our refugee populations. In the past, I had refugees that were coming to the United States, weren't used to our system of doing anything. And then we would put them in a program such as Wisconsin Works or W2, and we ask them to go to a work activity. Well, what's going to happen to their children? Well, they go to a child care center. A lot of our refugee populations are very nervous about sending their kids to someplace where they don't speak the language. And so the provisional certification allows for like a family member to become provisional, that provisional certification for up to 6 months as kind of that in between period, so that um, kids can start in a center which is run by someone who speaks their same language. And again, it only works for up to 6 months. Now we used to be able to do this for years, but it also allows that other person to get some money coming into the household. Um, it is a good way of kind of bridging that gap, because children learn so quickly all of the language and everything else that, again, it just kind of bridges that gap. And it's really helpful for those parents that maybe are coming from another country that are not as used to how we run things here. Um, in my first example, I said one person was receiving, W2. The second person might be just a person who's finding a new job, and suddenly they need to find a daycare location that's going to be closest to where they're going to be working. Again, they can call 4Cs and get that list, and it does go by zip code. So again, 211 and 4Cs usually use zip codes to kind of help people out. 4-H youth development is actually in the lower level of the Workforce Development Center in Jefferson. And in the summertime, I love to go to the center because at UW Extension in the lower level is where the 4-H kids come to get ready for their competitions and all that sort of thing. So again, in your local center in Jefferson, they actually have 4-H available. The Aging and Disability Resource Center, or the local ADRCs, are available in all 72 of our counties, and they are there to help and assist people that are either have a disability and need some kind of service, or if the individual is getting a little bit older and is in need of some kinds of services, like maybe Meals on Wheels and that sort of thing. This is a great resource for people to utilize. One of the things that they were able to do before COVID hit is they were actually able to go into people's homes and do a home inspection to see, is the environment safe for that individual? Do they need some adaptive, like hold bars or something like that to help that individual out? So again, I'm assuming that once we get past this, whenever that may be, that people will be able to go into the home and help individuals that way. Right now, all of their services are primarily virtual, at least they are in Dane County. And so I would say, if you're questioning that somebody needs something, please don't hesitate to ask them. The other thing that is really, I think, phenomenal that the ADRCs can do is they can help people get signed up for either SSI or SSDI. They can help that person actually get started on the application process. We know from many years of experience doing this kind of work that a lot of times people, when they apply on their own, they get rejected 2-3 times. With the ADRCs helping those individuals to get everything lined up for their application, the success rate is far greater. I can't even begin to tell you how much better it is right now. So again, if you have somebody who maybe was injured on the job and now they can't perform the same kind of work, and they're disabled in some way, then it might be that they qualify for SSDI, which is disability insurance, or SSI is usually given to those that have physical impairments.
Julie, I just want to interrupt you. What we're seeing is your last slide right now is, that thank you and whatever. So I'm just wondering if there's another slide that you wanted to show.
Oh, absolutely. I apologize completely. I thought I had switched it over. Let me go back up here. Let's do, I'm going to pause share. And then I'm going to try and share my screen again. You're still seeing that. Now, are you able to see?
And we're just seeing you right now. So, okay.
You lucky folks, right? How about that?
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm glad that you said something, because yes, otherwise you're not able to see any of the stuff I'm talking about. So yeah, thank you for doing that. I apologize. Downstairs in the lower level of the Workforce Development Center in Jefferson, we also have at UW Extension an agriculture agent. So again, if somebody is in need of that kind of information, the extension is right there and able to help those individuals. Let's see. There we go, back in business. Badger Care and Badger Care Plus. So Badger Care is our medical assistance program for the state of Wisconsin. And Badger Care Plus is a way for people to be able to purchase into the Badger Care system. So again, it's a medical assistance program. It usually works through the local HMOs, and people are given a forward health card. And on that card, it usually gives their subscriber number and everything that regular insurance provides to individuals. So again, if people are in need of or wondering if they qualify for Badger Care, you can go right to this website, the access.wisconsin.gov website. And when you go there and start filling out an application, if a person has never been there before, it'll actually give them all sorts of information, not only about Badger Care and whether they're eligible for that, but also if they're eligible for food share assistance or child care assistance. All of that information gets run through the same website. So again, if someone is curious about whether or not they qualify, they can certainly go onto the access.wisconsin.gov website and walk through just answering some basic questions, and they'll be told whether or not they qualify for that. Bilingual job seeker services happen in our resource rooms at our job centers. They're also happening virtually at this point. So again, if somebody is in need of, especially Spanish, I know sometimes our migrant and seasonal farm workers come in to the job center, and they're able to get additional assistance, primarily through ROSA at our local Jefferson Workforce Development Center. Bonding. Bonding is something that not a lot of people know about, but is really important. Bonding is available to people that maybe have poor credit, or maybe they have a criminal background of some sort. A lot of times what's happening is the person might be interested in hiring someone, but they're kind of on the fence. So as far as the business partner is concerned, if that's the case, usually what I do is I offer up that the individual could be bonded. And what that means is, if I was the person who had the sketchy background, so to speak, and I had an employer that might be interested in hiring me, what we do is we talk to people about offering up bonding. And that's an insurance policy that's set in place for the first 6 months. And that bonding piece, that insurance policy, is good for up to $5,000. So again, $5,000 over the first 6 months. So let's say someone was going to hire me for construction, but because I had theft in my background, they were concerned that their tools might run away from them. If that's the case, then the person could be bonded, and it's free to the employer. They don't have to pay anything. Again, it's a free insurance policy for the employer on behalf of that one participant. If they hired 2 of my buddies that also have, maybe they've got other kinds of criminal backgrounds or something like that, all 3 of us could have bonding, and they could have 3 separate insurance policies for all of us. This usually takes about less than 5 minutes, and it's a 1-page sheet that just needs to get filled out. And then it goes into play as soon as the person is hired and starts working for them. A lot of people don't know about bonding, but boy, it sure is a good program. Burial funding used to happen at all of the local county level, and now the state has taken that piece over and administers it through the central office. Burial funding now is pretty much not necessarily burials, but cremation services for individuals that aren't able to pay for a burial or for cremation services for their loved one. When this happens, usually what I do is I have the conversation with the individual and say, the funeral director will tell you about it, but if they go to the funeral home, they're going to want to sell you the urn, they're going to want to have a service there, all of those different kinds of things. And so for folks that are low income, that are struggling anyway, usually I try to talk to them about having a celebration of life at their home or in a park or something like that, where they can do that at a different time. But again, it's something that I just want to make sure that everybody knows is available. The only time I believe that the only time that they do burial funding at this point with the state is if for religious reasons it needs to be an actual burial, but otherwise it's strictly cremation services. Career counseling happens at all of our local job centers as well. They have a career counselor who's certified by the state. Joan is our lady that helps us out. She also works in the Waukesha area as well. And she's really good at walking people through if they've been laid off and they worked at the same company for a long time. There's that whole grieving process that people are going through. Joan is really good at walking people through, like, what are some options and what are the pros and cons of looking at those different options. So again, if somebody is in need, they're really struggling with that, Joan is somebody that can help you to work with that individual. Caretaker supplement. Caretaker supplement is for individuals that are on SSI. So let's say I'm a single parent and I'm on SSI and I have 2 children. The caretaker supplement is additional funds that come into the home to help take care of those 2 kids. So the first child gets $250, and for each additional child, it's $150. And the reason is, when kids are little and even when they're in, high school, they grow so quickly sometimes that they're in and out of those clothes really fast in their shoes. So the caretaker supplement is an additional cash payment to help pay for some of those kinds of things that the kids might need. Cell phones. If somebody is in need of a cell phone, there are 2 things that I would suggest. First, I would have them go out on the SafeLink website and get signed up for a cell phone. And the second thing is also to make sure that they have an actual address that the phone can go to. So I'm going to give you the example that I was giving in Dane County just a little while ago when Lori and I were talking. In Dane County, our homeless mail is on average at least 2,000 family households that we carry mail for on a regular basis. So over 2,000 households. We can't accept even though we're doing homeless mail pickup, we can't accept cell phones at our location. They won't, SafeLink will not send a cell phone to a PO box either. It has to be an actual physical address. So usually when I'm working with someone and they need one of the cell phones from SafeLink, what we do is we tell people, is there like a neighbor or a friend or someone else who has an address, especially if they're homeless, that you can get it sent to, and then they will give you the phone once it comes in. So again, I don't know at the Jefferson Workforce Development Center, but I believe the last time I asked about it was, nope, they don't accept them either. So again, just talk to that person and make sure that they need to have a physical address where the phone can be dropped off. The other thing is the phones are much nicer. When they first started with this program, they were the old flip phones, and now they look much more like a regular smartphone does. So just so that you're aware of that. Child care funding. This is Wisconsin Shares. Again, we had talked about it a little bit earlier. Some individuals will qualify for assistance paying for their child care. They now are receiving a debit card when they go to pay for their childcare at their childcare provider. They swipe their card to make that payment. So again, those are things that are available to individuals. The thing that you should know about this is that it used to be a pretty significant drop off for benefits. So somebody might get a job and then they're making a quarter more an hour and they would lose all of their childcare benefits. That was kind of a big benefits cliff that a lot of people they were never going to make up the amount of money that was needed to help keep their kids in childcare. And so what would happen is they'd end up quitting the job because they couldn't pay for the childcare assistance. So as of last year, they went to a tiered system. So in other words, when you make a little bit more, you're going to pay a little bit more. And they have several different steps so that you're covering the whole thing towards the end. It's a much more friendly system than it used to be. So if you had somebody who was on Wisconsin Shares in the past for childcare assistance and they'd make too much and they would lose their benefits, just so that you know, it's a much kinder, gentler system than it used to be. The Children First program is something that happens in only certain counties throughout the state of Wisconsin. The Children First program is for folks that are not meeting their child support obligations. I know that they also have the Children First program in Waukesha County because I work with them, and actually in southeastern Wisconsin, I think all of the counties over there do. But again, it's a way for the person to be court ordered into a program to help them find employment. It's a good program. It allows 16 weeks for the person to actually find employment, to get some skills training or to do a work experience if they have been out of the workforce for a while. So again, it allows for a lot of good things, but it is a court-ordered program. So people that don't participate will be in hot water if they don't. So again, that one's run through Jefferson County. The Dislocated Worker Program, or WIOA Title I services, is what we usually call them. The Dislocated Worker Program is for those folks that have been laid off. Pretty much now, anybody who has been on unemployment is going to be considered a dislocated worker program in COVID time. So definitely, if you have somebody that you think would qualify as a dislocated worker, I know that Lori is later on today going to be sending out a copy of this resource guide. She's also going to send you a flyer for Rachel Stewart, who's out of the Jefferson Workforce Development Center. And she's the person that if you have dislocated workers that want to either upgrade skills or help finding employment, or how do I do an interview over Zoom? All of those things Rachel can help with. And so we're going to give you that information before you leave, or before the end of today. DVR, or the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, is a great program, but sometimes is often misunderstood by some of our participants, and I'll tell you why. So DVR is a program for folks that have some kind of a physical or mental disability. Maybe they have mental health issues, something like that. So they have some kind of a disability, and it's documented disability. If the person has a disability, but it hasn't been documented, when the person signs up for services and they apply right here on this link, what would happen is they can ask for an assessment during their orientation, and then they will help to try and get the person the documentation needed in order to get them into the program. DVR services are great because they can offer so much more than a lot of the employment programs can, and it can be customized to that individual. Let's say the person is in a wheelchair and they need a special adaptive technology of some sort to use when they're at their new job. DVR can help to pay for the adaptive technology. They can also help if the person needs a job coach to get them started. So in years past, I have been a job coach for some of our DVR consumers. And what would happen is I was at a production place with one gentleman just, not that many years ago, and it was really fast paced. And so what would happen is I would work side by side next to him until he could pick up the pace, and then I would gradually back off and let him take over all on his own. And then, after a couple of weeks, he didn't need me anymore. He was just working like everybody else was. So they can offer job coaching. They can do supported employment. They can help with paying for someone to help them find a job. If the person can only work 20 hours a week or 10 hours a week, they can find a job that fits all of those criteria. So again, it's a really great program. But what happens sometimes is people don't understand the difference between DVR services, say, and like food share employment and training program or the dislocated worker program. In this case, there's there's a vocational counselor that the person works with. And in the example that I just gave you of Rachel being the person who would work with the person one-on-one in the dislocated worker program, the DVR counselor doesn't do that. They're kind of the person who approves those services for that individual. So they're going to approve for a vendor to work with the individual to find employment, and then that person will work one-on-one with them. It gets confusing because people are used to, like, you're my person and you're going to help me, right? And that isn't the way it goes. So a lot of times what will happen is somebody gets approved in the program, they come in and they say, yep, I'm approving so that you can have somebody to help you with your job search. Here's a list of all these people. You pick one of the names on this list and then get back to me about who you want to work with. The reason they do that is because it's consumer informed. So in other words, the consumer or the participant chooses who they get to work with. They're not dictating any of this information. So it's hard because if somebody takes that piece of paper and they get home, and if they're like me, they throw it on the kitchen table when they walk in the door, it might sit there for a while. And then they'll say, I didn't get anything out of DVR services. Well, it could be that that's the reason they didn't understand what the next steps were and how to get those services to work for them. So if ever you have anybody who's working with DVR services and they're struggling with it for whatever reason, please feel free to reach out to me and I will try and help get that person back on track with their services. So again, it's a great program, lots of bells and whistles. But again, sometimes it can be, misunderstood, I guess is what I would say. Emergency assistance. This is available for individuals that have children living in the household under the age of 18 that have usually a 5-day notice. And so they're being evicted for whatever reason. If that's the case, they can still call the numbers that are listed there and get some assistance for emergency assistance. This is run through Forward Service Corporation. And basically in this program, they are going to make a deal with the landlord to give that person an additional 30 days. They're going to get paid part of what is owed to that landlord, but it gives that person a little bit more time to find the next place if they need to, live, or to help them get that back rent that they might owe. So again, emergency assistance is available through Forward Service Corporation, and those numbers on your screen are the ones to call. The one thing that I will mention about this program is you can only use it once every 365 days. So when I used to help operate this program back in the day, people would come in just a couple days early and I'd have to say, I'm sorry, we can't help you until Wednesday. And they'd be like, what? I'm here today. And I'd say, I know I can give you information about it, but you can't actually apply for the program until you hit that 365th day. So again, things to kind of keep in mind about all of the different programs we have. Energy services. Most of us are very familiar about referring people over to energy services, not only during the winter months, but you could also do that in the summer months as well. They also have furnace repair and replacements. They help with those heating and cooling bills, but they also help with weatherization. So again, energy services isn't just for the winter time. People should take advantage of it in the summertime as well, if needed. Food share. Food share, most of us are familiar with. You have the food share card, and basically that Quest card is a debit card, and that helps to pay for groceries at the grocery store. The one thing that the Quest card doesn't cover are personal care items, things like deodorant or toilet paper, Kleenex, that kind of stuff, shampoo, even soap for your clothes. It doesn't cover any of that kind of thing. So again, it's food share is food share because it's for food particularly. So again, it's a great program and people can go ahead and get signed up again on the website, the access.wisconsin.gov, um, in order to take advantage of that. The least amount somebody can get is $16 a month. And right now, I think because of the pandemic, they're giving mostly the maximum to people because they know that they need it. So again, if people are interested, please have them sign up for Food Share. The Food Share Employment and Training Program, or also known as FSET, is primarily for folks that don't have children under the age of 18 that are residing with them. So basically, we call them AVODs. That's kind of hard for everybody, but it's adults without dependent children is basically what it is. But people can also volunteer, become a part of the FSET program if they'd like. You'd say, well, why would somebody want to do that? FSET has a lot of training programs that Forward Service is actually providing to people virtually right now. They're still doing a lot of their training programs this way. And they actually started it before the pandemic. So their classes have been virtual for a while. The other thing is Food Share, unlike, say, the Dislocated Worker Program, if someone has volunteered and they're coming in and they're doing a work program with them, during that time, they can actually get some transportation assistance through the program, as long as they're meeting that criteria. So again, it's a way for people to kind of work through and maybe get a gas card to kind of help, or mileage reimbursement to help them while they're looking for employment. So again, it's another possibility. You do have to be on Food Share in order to be a part of the program. But if you have any questions, you can either call at the Jefferson County there or Dodge County down here. Health services. There are a couple of different places for healthcare. So there's the Watertown area CARES clinic, and then Rock River is also a free clinic that you can send people to if they are in need of some kind of medical assistance. HMO member services. So let's say somebody is on Badger Care, but they're not sure what's covered under their policy, and they're thinking that they need to have a tooth extracted. Is that covered? This is the number that you can give people. It's also on the back of their insurance card, but they may or may not have that Badger Care card with them. If they don't have their Forward Health card with them, this is the number that you can give them so that they can call and check and see what's covered. If somebody has a major complaint about some kind of service that they received, HMO complaints, I also put that number listed there for you, because every once in a while that pops up too. So again, those two numbers are available and you can share them freely with your patrons. Home buyer and home rehab program is actually going through the Jefferson County Economic Development Consortium. And basically, they have programs to help people if they're a first-time home buyer or if they bought a place and they need to rehab it. So again, the number is listed there for information about those two programs. Housing Resource Desk is actually held through Community Action Coalition of South Central Wisconsin. So we've provided their number. They have vacancy lists and that sort of thing. They also have had a lot of money flowing through the different CAP agencies across the state to help people with some of that back rent. So if somebody is struggling with housing at this point in time, I would certainly suggest that you have them call your local CAP agency. And in Jefferson County, that would be CAC. Housing Search is a website where you can go to look at different kinds of housing possibilities. So one of them might be that a person is looking for a home, a single family home that they could rent. Sometimes that will be out there. This is a fairly new website, and so the more people that have different kinds of apartment buildings or people that do rent, the more people that put the information on the website, the stronger it becomes. So it is a new website. Sometimes I found really good things for people on this website, and sometimes I found nothing that was affordable for them. So again, just take it with a grain of salt. It's just another resource that's available to individuals. job access loans run through Forward Service Corporation locally. And a lot of times these are zero interest loans that are available to individuals who are either working or have received a job offer, but need their car to get fixed, say, to get to work. A lot of times this is used for vehicle repairs. So whether it's brakes or tires or whatever, that's what people use this for. Um, it is a short-term, no interest loan, but it is a loan. So what I tell people is if they set you up on a payment plan where you're supposed to pay $20 a month, pay your $20 a month, because if you don't, and it's tax time and you think you're going to get this big refund, if you haven't paid back on that loan, it's going to get intercepted and it's going to get paid back one way or the other. So I usually tell people, don't get caught off guard by that. Just make sure that you're making your payments. Job Center of Wisconsin is the portal that we use for job seekers. Anybody who's on unemployment right now obviously is also using the Job Center of Wisconsin. I'm sure that you all are extremely familiar with that, so I won't go into a lot of detail on that one. Job Corps. Job Corps is a really interesting program. Again, it's kind of like bonding. It's a really good kept secret. Nobody knows about it. This is a program that's through the Department of Labor, and it's for young individuals who are 16 to 24. The individual needs to be meet the eligibility criteria, so like a U.S. citizen, and then there's or legal residents, but they need to meet the income criteria in order to qualify for this program. This program is great because there are times where, and I know that I was like this too when I was a teenager, right? You know, parents and kids don't get along and they start butting heads. For some individuals, if they are starting to do things like run away and that sort of thing, and the parent is really nervous about where they're going to be or what's going to happen to them and their education, Job Corps might be a really good solution. There are two different campuses that are available in the state of Wisconsin. One is in Milwaukee and the other one is up north. And basically it's a campus where other Job Corps kids are, and they live there on site. It's like going to college a little bit early. So you go to the campus, they complete their high school diploma or their GED. They also learn a trade while they're up there. So some kind of vocational training, whether it's going into healthcare or if they're going into you know, they want to do welding or they want to work on cars, whatever it might be. They have a lot of different programs that are available. If you go out on their website that's listed right here, they have 81 different certifications that they have available. The last time I went out there, I was blown away by how much was available to individuals. The other really good thing about this is not only is the housing taken care of, but their meals are taken care of, their basic medical, dental. They can learn how to drive when they're there. It is an exceptional program, and they actually get some additional money, which we used to call it WAM, walking around money. So they have some money that they can spend on other kinds of things that they might want to purchase while they're up there. So again, it is a great program. If you have any questions or if you know of some families that this might be a good option for them, I wouldn't hesitate to have them call Pam and get connected to the program. It really is exceptional. So again, you know, just something to think about for some of our families that we work with. Labor market information is available on the Job Center of Wisconsin. So if somebody's looking between Jefferson County and Waukesha County, and they're saying, if I'm going to take a new position and I'm going to be working as a marketing professional, which county is going to pay better starting out and which one pays better over the long term? That kind of comparison on labor market information is available through the Job Center of Wisconsin. So again, it's also connected as Wisconomy. You might have heard that term. That's a button that you can push on the Job Center of Wisconsin portal to get connected to the labor market information. Lots of good stuff that's available out there. There we go. Legal Action of Wisconsin. Legal Action of Wisconsin does serve folks in your area, and basically they will help with civil legal issues. So they're not going to do any family law, no divorce, no nothing like that. But they will help with things like if somebody has a large medical bill and they're struggling to pay for it, they can help with that. Driver's license has been revocated. They can help with recovery of that driver's license. Um, there are a number of different things that people can utilize, you know, legal action for to help them with. Tenant rights, that might be another thing where somebody is getting evicted. Is that legal or not legal? They can help to kind of walk through some of those kinds of things with individuals. So again, I would always say, send them over to legal action. If they're not the right person, they will get you in touch with the right person. The medical assistance program we've already kind of covered. That's Badger Care. And again, that is the Forward Health Card. Medical Assistance Purchase Plan is also known as MAP. And again, this is a way for people to purchase into the Badger Care system. What happens is kind of like at the library where things are cross-referenced. In this book, things are also cross-referenced because if you don't know Badger Care or what it is, but you know medical assistance, you can find it under that heading. The Migrant and Seasonal Farm Worker Outreach Program is something that is starting to ramp up right now. I've been receiving mail at the Job Center in Madison for this program. They have an inspector who will go out and check where people are going to be living to make sure that they have electricity and running water and that the water is decent and all of those kinds of things. So again, somebody who's checking out to make sure that the place where people are going to be staying is safe. And then they have outreach workers that actually help the families that are coming to work here during the summer season to get them connected to healthcare or anything else that they might need for their family. There is a reentry workshop that is happening at the job centers, and I don't know that it's happening virtually at this point in time. And the reason I'm saying that is a lot of the job service staff has been working with unemployment. They've been the kind of those backup workers to kind of help with that. But as of March 1st, they're going to just start opening some of the job centers. That information about the reentry workshop is mostly about things like bonding. If somebody has a question about some of the information for the reentry workshop, one of the job center staff would be more than happy to help you with that. If you can't get anybody that way, please let me know and I will share the information with the individuals that you have. You have a local research specialist and her name is Brittany Palmer. She works for CAC and she runs two different programs. She is running the independent living program. These are for kids that are fostering out of care right now. So once a child hits 18, they can, by law, be on their own. And some of the foster care families would say, well, you're turning 18 in December, but you don't finish with your schooling until spring. We want you to stay with us during that time. Some families are not like that. And they say you're 18 in December and you're on your own in December. Brittany's job is to help work with those students starting a year to 2 years prior to their release out into the real world to help them get connected to things like their child or their medical assistance, help them find an apartment, help them find furniture, all the things that we kind of take for granted if we have not been a child of foster care. These kids need help with. And so that's her job, is to help them kind of transition into sort of the real world or the working world, or if they're going on to school, she has additional funding to help them get connected to school as well. So it's a great program. The other thing, and that one does work directly with the counties to try and help get those kids situated again before they actually get released from foster care. The second part of her program is the out of school youth program. And so she's working with students that, maybe they have graduated from high school and or will be graduating from high school, and they're going to need assistance either in finding employment or getting connected to school. That's part of her job as well with that population. It also could be somebody who maybe decided that school wasn't for them and they dropped out, and now they're saying, hey, I really need that education. Again, she's the person that can help them get connected to those different resources. The next program is that revolving loan fund program. Again, that's happening through economic development. And again, that's for the rehabbing program that we talked about earlier. And it's also helping first-time home buyers. So again, that loan fund program is available to individuals. SSI and SSDI advocacy at the ADRC. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Again, the ADRC can help people get connected and start the application process for SSI and SSDI, as well as anything else for folks with disabilities or that are aging. So again, please go ahead and send people over to the ADRC. They are a great resource. State job listings, if you're wanting to get a position with the state of Wisconsin and you're wondering what is available, you can go out to this website right here. It is just wisc.jobs. Everybody wants to put a .com or something else behind it. And, this was set up when the internet was brand new. And so there is no .com or .org. It's just wisc.jobs when you're looking. The TAA or Trade Adjustment Assistance Program is something that is the dislocated worker program, but I always say it's the dislocated worker program on steroids. So the folks that are getting laid off from Eaton, we just did a rapid response with them the other day and basically started telling them about the dislocated worker program. What we are encouraging all of the folks at Eaton to do right now, as well as anybody else who's been laid off, is to get connected to the dislocated worker programs first. The Trade Adjustment Assistance Program kicks in after the Department of Labor gives authorization, and that process can take a while. So usually we don't want people to wait for TAA to click in. We say get them connected first to Rachel right away, and as soon as we're starting to co-enroll in the TAA program, we will get them connected over to that program as well. So again, it's something where it is the dislocated worker program, but they have extended benefits. They have additional funding for different kinds of trainings. They can help people even move if they need to be. But again, that company needs to be certified through the Department of Labor, and that can take some time. So get people connected to the dislocated worker program first, and we'll get them connected to TAA when the time is ready. Unemployment benefits has been in the news a lot lately. I guess that's probably an understatement. I was just on a webinar with them last week where they were talking about what the volume was like in those first couple of months. And I think, it's amazing to me how many claims that they have processed at this point in time. It is working a little bit better right now, but again, it's an older system. They're talking about putting more money available to kind of revamp the system itself. But right now, it's kind of like when they send out information from the federal government saying, we're putting out this new COVID money. The money has been approved. People just think it was there already to be used. And none of the different state systems were built or designed to add those additional people in. So I always tell people, when you hear that, funding has been approved for anything from the federal government, it's kind of like when they have funding available for roads. They say the funding is here for roads and it's been approved, but the road hasn't been built yet. So I always tell people to kind of be patient and to go out on DWD's website for unemployment. They have a good frequently asked questions section, and they give all the updates right on that front page. So again, I tell people to go ahead and use that. The wait times for getting through to unemployment is not at all like it used to be either. So I think things are somewhat back under control, and that's why job centers are being allowed to open again, because a lot of the people that we're helping to work with that backlog are now being approved to go back to their regular job duties. Veteran services, again, we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. Veteran services happen at the job centers. We have disabled veterans outreach program. And basically that's to help people that have a disability, service-related disability, find employment. They also, like I said, will help any veteran who is looking for employment. But the other thing to note is that if somebody is looking for those county services, that veteran service representative is actually going to help that person get connected to those services. So again, veteran services is a big part of what we do, and they are a priority of service for the Dislocated Worker Program. The W-2 program is called Wisconsin Works, and this is the only cash assistance program that is taking place in the state at this time. You can be a married couple, or it can be a single parent with children under the age of 18 that meet income or that meet eligibility criteria. So again, what can happen is the person is eligible for W-2 services. They will receive a cash payment of, I believe it's like $617 or $657 or something like that a month. So they're not getting a lot of money per month, but it's there to help them kind of cover the gap until they can find employment again. So again, it's a maximum of 2 years on W-2. They also have a transition space. So if you have, let's say I have a disabled child and I need to get them connected to SSI benefits, what could happen is I could be caring for that child at home and they could put me in a W-2P. That's another 2 years that a person can be on the program. People can start on the program and cut out as soon as they find employment. I always say it's a safety net program, so don't use up your safety net all at one time. Don't go in there for a full 2 years. Get in the program, get out of the program. Save some time in case you should need it in the future. So again, any questions about W-2 or how it works, please let me know and I'll make sure that I get in contact with the person and explain that to them. The Windows to Work program is a program that happens out of the different correctional institutions across the state of Wisconsin. In our area, it's Oak Hill and Fox Lake Correctional Institute that has the Windows to Work program. This is a behavior modification program that is supposed to help people think about things in a different light. So there's a full course of 12-week training that people go through. And again, it's behavior modification. So it's helping people to think about things a little bit differently. So if this person normally would get real angry, in a lot of ways it's kind of like anger management, they would get angry because somebody like bumped into them while they were carrying something. Well, they did it because they couldn't see. It's helping people to put themselves in other people's shoes and kind of see what might have happened and how they can react differently than maybe what that first impulse is. So again, it's a great curriculum. This is happening across the state of Wisconsin, and they will be opening up additional sites for this. During COVID, some locations have gone to virtual just recently. I never thought I'd see the day that the state Department of Corrections would allow virtual kinds of things like this, but it's actually been working out really well. And so they have started these classes back up in most of the institutions now across the state. The only reason I say that is if you didn't know, they've been opening up job centers within different correctional institutions. Oak Hill was the first one in Oregon, down in Dane County. I work there along with some other staff of ours, and to get internet in there so that people could help with the job search was a big thing. So I'm really shocked that they would allow the video cameras, but it's a good thing so that they can get this ongoing training as they're getting ready to release. The other nice thing about this program is that once a person does release, we have a lot of people that have been in prison for quite a long time. One person that came through 2 weeks ago had been in prison for 26 years, and he didn't have a place to stay. So no apartment, no place to stay, no clothes outside of what he was given from the institution. So again, those are the things that the Windows to Work coach is going to work with the participant to help them get situated, find employment, get some clothes, you know, start paying rent, that kind of thing. So again, that's their job, is to help them with that. It's a good program, but people don't want to be referred into that program because that means you're in the institution. The WIOA program, like I said, in our area, Title I services are called WorkSmart. So sometimes people might come in and say, I'm trying to get a hold of WorkSmart. That's Rachel, and we're going to be sending you that flyer in a little bit. Like I said, it's not only low-income adults maybe that are not employed or underemployed, it's also good for those in-school and out-of-school youth, as well as dislocated workers. The Wisconsin Senior Employment Program, or the WISE program in the state of Wisconsin, is for folks that are 55 and older that maybe had a gap in their employment. What I'm seeing happen is during the Great Recession, when we had a lot of people that decided that they were going to be, they thought they could just make it to 65. And so they decided to retire early. And some of those people have been using up their savings now rather quickly. And so they haven't worked in quite a long time, but now they really need to have some kind of a job, but they don't have any current work reference. The WISE program has been able to provide that to individuals, help them get a work reference. This is a 4-year-long program. The person that comes into the program works for 20 hours a week at minimum wage, so it's at $7.25 an hour. During that time frame, what will happen is the individual will only make $7.25 for 20 hours, but it gives them 20 hours to look for that other job. People can come in and out of the program so they can, you know, get the reference, start working. If that doesn't work, they can come back into the program. Again, you have to meet certain criteria to get into the program, but it is a good program to help people kind of bridge that gap until they can get going, you know, again, into regular employment. And then the WorkSmart Network is also WIOA, which is also the Dislocated Worker Program, or also WIOA Title I services. So again, that's that cross-referencing. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to ask folks if they have any questions for me.
You know, people can actually type their questions in the Q&A, or you know what, we only have, we have a small number today. So if somebody would like to actually ask the question, what you can do is just raise your hand. There's a button that you can do, raise your hand, and I can allow you to talk if you'd like to do that.
Sounds good. I know it's a lot of information. You will be getting the guide, so it has all of this information in it in a little bit. Let's see. Looks like people are wondering about digital copy, and yep, you'll be receiving that. You'll also get a flyer of the Dislocated Worker Program. Our contact is Rachel locally, and we'll get you connected to that as well. Anything else? Wow, it's a quiet group today. If not, if you have any questions, I'm going to give you my email address. I'll give you my short email address as well as my phone number. If you have questions, even if you're in Waukesha County or some other county, I can get you in touch with the person that you need to be in touch with. So again, my name is Julie, and the last name I'm going to spell for you because it's the first part of my email. So the last name is E, M as in Nancy, L-O-E, at EATA, so Employment and Training Association, EATA.org is a way to get a hold of me by email. Otherwise, my phone number is area code 608-242-7482. And again, if you need me for anything, or you just have a question or something funny comes up and you're not sure who to ask, again, you can always call 211, but you can also call me. I'd be happy to help you out. So thanks for having me today.
Great. And for people know that in chat, I did put your contact information, and I can make sure and send it out to everybody too. So we appreciated you being here. We'll just give, a few seconds in case somebody actually starts thinking of a question. And thank you for going through the guide with us. That was wonderful. We appreciate it. So that is definitely helpful.
Well, and I think the other thing is there are some things that sometimes people have me come back, and what they wanted me to do is walk them through how people apply for Badger Care, for food share, or for child care assistance. And I'm always more than happy to help walk you through how that works as well. I just did that with some new employees not too many weeks ago. So again, that's always something that's available if you need help with some of those other kinds of websites.
We do have a question. If you're able to tell us any ways that you've successfully have partnered with libraries in the past.
Sure, absolutely. So I know that one of the, I guess it was Mount Horeb Library, had asked me, they were getting ready to do one of those Google grants. Remember those right at the beginning of the pandemic? And so they were asking if I could do a workshop over Google Meet. And so we did that. So certainly we've done that. Our staff have gone actually to libraries and had library hours in the past. Where we could answer some of those kinds of questions. And it always was kind of a hit or miss. In our local area, we also have what we call information sheets. And we drop those off at our libraries, our local libraries, if they're open to that, so that if somebody has been laid off and they want to get a hold of us, they can fill that information out and they can send it to us, or they can take a copy of our flyer. So we do that sort of thing as well. But again, we're more than happy to partner any way you'd like us to. Again, sometimes we've done it where we've done a workshop in person or virtually. And those seem to be more popular because you're getting a lot of people coming in at one time for that one thing. We also I'm going to pick on Columbus right now. We did a job fair with them in partnership, where we helped to get it all coordinated with them. And that was really good because it really helped us to kind of, get in touch with the local businesses there. And the local businesses start seeing the library a little bit differently than they had in the past. In fact, we had so many companies that wanted to participate, we ran out of space. So I ended up taking my booth down and standing and directing traffic and that kind of stuff. So that's been kind of fun too. We enjoy working with the library systems. I know that in our local area, we're going to try to get together quarterly to kind of share information. If I have information about unemployment or something like that that comes out, sometimes I'll send out a little email blurb about that. So again, we try to partner as much as we possibly can. If you have other thoughts or suggestions or ideas, I'd always be open to anything that you're thinking about. So again, just let me know. The other thing is we also have our drive-through job fairs. We will have another drive-through job fair, and that will be happening in our local area. We're going to try and get in all 6 counties at the same time on the same day. And that is on Cinco de Mayo this year. We're going to do that. And then we have some virtual job fairs that will be coming out as well. And as soon as we get more information on that, we'll push that out. So Lori will have some information that she can share with you. Good question.
Yeah, thanks. And yes, definitely. As soon as we see that, I do remember when we had that was offered a drive-through, and it was so many counties. It was wonderful to be able to spread that information.
I think it's good because we also were taking people's information if they felt like they wanted help at that time. We asked them if they wanted to share their email or phone number, and people did. And so we were able to follow up with people and get them additional assistance. So it is a good way for us to get in touch with people. We will be doing the drive-throughs again, but we will have some virtual options that will be coming up shortly too. So again, stay tuned for all of that.
Great, thank you. We don't seem to have any other questions, so I think we're good. So we really appreciate you, Julie, from going through the directory and covering all those different services that are available through the job centers. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no, our pleasure. We're so glad you're able to do that for us. So yes, and attendees, I will be sending you then a link, because this is being recorded, so that if you missed anything, you can listen in. And I will send you an electronic copy also of the guide, and also about Rachel Stewart's information too. So thank you so much, and everybody, I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you, and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.